You're listening to Dropping the Gloves with former NHL All-Star John Scott, a member of the Nation Network of podcasts and delivered by DoorDash.
Hey, everybody, welcome to a lovely Friday morning, Dropping the Gloves, the official podcast of hockeyfights.com. And Tim's here. Hi, Tim.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me again. I'm always wondering every episode, I'm like, is he going to have me back for another one or is that it?
It could be. I'm glad you're always on your toes because the axe is there. You know what I mean? You're under the guillotine and it could happen at any moment, which, it's a good thing. I don't think anybody should ever get comfortable in what they do. The moment you get comfortable is the moment you start to slack and then boom, drops the guillotine. I'm glad you feel that way.
You keep me on my toes.
I do. So, you know what else keeps me on my toes? Fantrax. You know why? Because there's so many possibilities with Fantrax. It's not just like your mundane fantasy website where you go and there's like, two options. Fantrax has so many options, so many ways to play, so many different things you can just tinker around with. It's unbelievable. It's the most customizable fantasy platform in the industry, Tim. It offers the greatest fantasy experience for any kind of leagues you want. Dynasty, keeper, redraft, the elusive best ball league. I still don't know what that means, but I'm going to go find out and sign up for a best ball fantasy league. I don't know what it means, but it sounds terrific. And get this, I'm going to tweet something out maybe this weekend. All our listeners, I want you to join our fantasy league on Fantrax. It's going to be great. It's free to sign up, so it's nothing to you. You got nothing going on, let's be honest. Sign up for a fantasy league. We're going to have a good time. We can have only 2,000. So it's the first 2,000 people who sign up. Winner takes all. We're going to do a signed John Scott jersey. We're going to do some dropping the gloves swag. We're going to do all kinds of fun stuff for the winner. Hopefully I win, because then I won't have to give away one of my jerseys. But it'll be good stuff. Sign up at Fantrax. Go to fantrax.com/DTG. That's the only way you can enter our league. We're going to do some kind of thing where that's the only way you can get in our league. If you sign up through fantrax.com/DTG. And once you join our league, I tell you what, you're going to want to join all your leagues of Fantrax because it's such a good platform for fantasy sports, Tim. It's unbelievable. You know that. I know that. I want everybody else to know that. So go to fantrax.com/DTG, join our league, join a ton of other leagues. It's great. Good for you guys. Good for us. Anyways, now that good news is out of the way, Tim, I debated talking about this clown and we've held off. But when you put yourself out there, when you go on ESPN and try to, calm the flames down, try to just get the PR bus moving in your direction, try to get everybody back on your side and you're Evander Kane, you have to comment on it. Did you see the interview? Did you see any snippets of it? Or have you luckily enough not seen this clown?
I haven't watched it. I saw that he did one and I saw the quote that basically said all the allegations were like exceptionally false or something like that. And then all the truth would come to light. That's all I saw.
The truth shall set him free. He is okay. If there's little kids listening, I'm going to get a little emotional. I'm not going to be effing and jeffing and swearing and this and that, but I will get a little emotional. And there are some adult topics that I'm going to, talk about. So you can mute it, fast forward it, hopefully only 2 or 3 minutes. This really fires me up because he does this interview just so he can get his side of the story out and just to kind of portray himself as this nice guy. Oh, I made a mistake. Oh, I gambled too much. I had a gambling problem. That's my only issue. I had a little gambling issue. That's why everybody doesn't like me. No, he's missing the mark. Nobody doesn't like you because you gamble too much. Everybody has a vice. Everybody in this whole world has a vice. Nobody's perfect. Everybody has something that they're battling with. That's not why everyone hates you, Evander Kane. Everyone hates you because you're an epic douche. That's why. Because you do this interview on ESPN and you got this cocky grin on your face and you think you're God's gift to us. And it's like, no, you're a douche. You do douchey things. You've done nothing since enter the NHL. All you've done is just be a bad teammate and a bad human being in general. And he ends the interview going, I just want to be treated fairly and judged accordingly. Okay, you're suspended forever if that's how we're going to do it. Because you bet on the NHL, maybe, allegedly. You have done terrible things. I've heard nothing, and this is inside information. I'm not going to name names. I talk to people. I've played with people that Evander Kane have played with. We do lots of interviews where we go around the country talking to players. I'm still plugged into the NHL pipeline of information. Everybody hates you, Evander. Everybody. Nobody likes you. I have not heard one person, one teammate of yours say, you know what? He gets a bad rap. He really does. No, every single one of them goes, yeah, he's a douche. He's a bad guy. He's a bad teammate. Unequivocally across the board. I've played in Buffalo. I know everybody in Buffalo. I've played in San Jose. I know everybody in San Jose. Evander's played in Buffalo. Evander's played in San Jose. Everybody hates him. Everybody. You know, everywhere he goes, he just burns bridges, starts fires, and just says, "Oh, people don't like me. They don't know me." Everyone who knows you doesn't like you. That's just first things first. You're a bad teammate. He's had issues every team he's gone to: Atlanta, Winnipeg, Buffalo, San Jose. That's just stating the facts. You know, it's been well documented what you've done in all the cities that you've gone to. All right, moving forward. I'm going to read the laundry list of stuff that Evander's done. And all the allegations, some of it's untrue, some of the charges. The fact that I'm talking about charges should just ping you. We're not talking about, oh, you know, he ran somebody on the ice. You know, he's a dirty player. He checks people from behind, or he yaps a lot. He's a marchand. He's this, he's that. These are criminal allegations. These are charges being filed against you, Evander. So if you're going to be treated fairly and judged accordingly, let's look at your history, and I will do that. Okay. And these aren't in order of when they happen. I was just writing stuff down when I found it down. We'll start with the most recent. And this isn't a knock against them, but it does affect your image. Filed for bankruptcy protection, $27 million in debt. Not a bad thing, not a crime. Protecting his assets. Red flag. Sued by the Cosmopolitan Casino in 2019 for over $500,000 in unpaid debts. By the way, those debts occurred the night before a playoff game. Game 4 of the first round, San Jose Sharks versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Vegas is up 2-1 in the series. He goes out the night before and gambles. Shows up the next game, absolutely terrible. They lose 4-0. He gets kicked out of the game. Casino sues him because he has unpaid markers. One lawsuit against him. That's filed out of court. I'm sure he paid his debts. Bad teammate, bad player, bad person. Ding, ding, ding. Another accusation. The most recent one, his wife's accusation against him. Gambling on hockey. That's a whole ball of wax in itself. I hope Bettman and Daly get to the bottom of this. Usually where there's smoke, there's fire. Is this just his wife emotional? Stating something that she doesn't know, just trying to get him in trouble? We'll figure that out. The other accusations, him being a deadbeat dad, his cheating on his wife, him not giving her any money. This is the douche move. No one's talking about this. They're only talking about the shiny gambling stuff. They didn't mention in the interview he gave. He's a douche. Sorry, this is going from a 3-minute to a 10-minute, Tim. We're going to get there. When he first came into the NHL, he did that billboard to his girlfriend apologizing. What is he apologizing for? Probably for being a douche. He likes the attention. Billboard in LA in the most, busy intersection. Oh, I'm Evander. I'm sorry. Here's a picture of my girlfriend. Whatever. Taking pictures of himself holding stacks of money on his ear, trying to get Floyd Mayweather's attention because he's got stacks of $100 bills. This happened during the lockout in 2012 when we were arguing with the owners about we're not getting paid enough. We need more compensation, this and that. Stupid move. I was a part of those lockouts, and this picture comes out, and the owner's like, yeah, seems to me you guys are doing pretty good when Evander Kane, who just entered the league, is in Las Vegas at the Cosmopolitan Hotel, the same one that would sue him 7 years later, is tweeting out pictures of him holding stacks of cash saying, Floyd Mayweather called me up on my money phone. You're a clown. This is a joke. Not too long after that, he takes another picture of himself doing push-ups with stacks of money on his shoulders. How full of yourself are you? Do you need that much of attention that you just have to send pictures out of yourself? Oh, I'm so rich. I have so much money. I'm so strong. Usually the most insecure person is the loudest person in the room. That is you, Evander Kane. You're a clown. 2016, when he's with Buffalo, he drives to Toronto for the NBA All-Star game, gets absolutely wasted, partying with all these celebrities. I'm sure him and Drake had a great time. Gets so messed up, doesn't make to the Sabres practice the next day, gets suspended by the team. Bad teammate, bad decision maker. What are you doing? Documents the whole thing on his social media. He loves him some him. He's a very narcissistic human being, but no, he wants to be treated and judged fairly. That's fine. If my teammate goes out the night before, even a practice, and misses practice, you're a douche. You're a jerk. You put yourself before the team. That's irresponsible. I've gone out before a practice. You show up to practice, you gut it out, you sweat it out, and that's what a professional does. Everybody does it. You show up to practice. Talk to guys in Buffalo. I did it many times, not many times, a couple times. And this is where we get into the allegations, assault allegations. 2013 in Vancouver, got into a fight with the dude at 2 a.m. Evander claims self-defense. The other guy claims self-defense. No one knows what happened. Assault allegations filed against him. 2016, sued by a woman over an assault. Met this girl, went up to his hotel. The girl said he assaulted her. Whatever. I don't know how that ended up. Settled out of court. 2016 again, assault in Buffalo. Accused of grabbing multiple women in a bar, sexually, obviously. That was settled out of court. I don't know what happened. A lawsuit against him currently. A woman who he had relations with, he had procured an abortion for her 2 times before and paid for it. And the 3rd time she got an abortion and he said, I'm not paying for it. What kind of terrible human being are you? I'm Catholic. You're a mortal sin straight to hell unless you go to confession. That's beside the point. You're probably cheating on your girlfriend. Or your wife or your fiance. I don't know when he got married, but I'm assuming he's married at this point because it wasn't 2018. It's 2021. I know he has 2 kids with his current wife, even if they're still married. You're paying this woman to have abortions. You're a scumbag, an absolute scumbag. And then to have an agreement with her, besides the point that you're a scumbag, the third time's a charm of murdering a baby, you decide you're not going to pay her, and now she's suing you for $6 million. Douche. And then he has the gall to say in this interview, and I know I might get some flack for this. He goes, well, I'm a black man in a white man's sport. And that's why I have a loud voice. No, nothing to do with your race. Nothing to do with your race at all. You're a douche. You're a bad person. This is why you have this reputation. This is why people don't like you. That's it. No one's out to get you. You're out to get yourself. And when you burn this many bridges and you look around and you try to have people who have your back, they're all gone. It's because no one likes you and you've done nothing but be a bad person and a bad teammate to everybody. Good for you, Evander. I hope you get what you deserve, reap what you sow. And I hope you can learn from this and move on and have a great career if you're not guilty of gambling on hockey, and you can be a good dude. That's what I hope for. But right now, if you want to be treated fairly and judged accordingly, kick rocks, buddy. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's my little rant on Evander Kane. Tim, now it's your turn. Go for it.
I'm not going to pile on. I will say, you covered all this stuff. And like you said, when there's smoke, there's usually fire. Maybe not every single thing he's been accused of is true. But like, what's the common denominator in all these situations? It's him. Like, he's the one his name just keeps popping up over and over again for this stuff. And about the interview yesterday with ESPN, Kevin Kurz, who's with The Athletic, he's the one that wrote the article a couple of weeks ago saying that multiple players on the Sharks came forward to management saying they didn't want him on the team. They don't like him. They don't trust him. So he's plugged in, and he had an interesting tweet yesterday. He said, what's newsworthy about the Evander Kane interview isn't what he said, it's what he didn't say. This was a missed opportunity for him to signal to his teammates in the organization that he's ready to come back, change his ways, to be a solid teammate. Instead, nothing's changed. And I think that's kind of ties exactly in with what you just said.
Well, he plays the victim card, right? That's how it rolls. He doesn't take ownership of anything that he's done. I have a gambling problem. Great. Good. Don't gamble. That's fantastic. What about all the other stuff you've done? What about everything else, Evander? And that's the last time I'm going to speak on it, because he came out and he made these comments and I have to address it. I don't have to. I want to. I think people need to know. They don't need to. I just don't like him. It is what he's challenging people to fights on YouTube. It's like, come on, man. if you want to be taken seriously, if you want to be an NHL pro, do you see any other professional hockey player doing this that is in the news as much as Evander Kane? No. You're like the face of the team. You're the San Jose Sharks' best player. Do you see any other player on any other team who is the top guy getting in this much hot water? Like it happens too much. It happens too much. So, anyways, that's Evander Kane. I don't like talking about that stuff, but it's like, come on, dude.
Earlier this summer, when that allegation first came about him betting on the games, the NHL put out a statement said they were investigating it. They take these allegations seriously, blah, blah, blah. Haven't heard anything about the league since. So I don't know if they are still investigating it, if it was just a statement for PR or what. But
no, they said they're going to have some kind of results from their findings before the training camp begins. So they should have something in the next week or so. And I bet you they're going to come back and be like, we investigated it and we couldn't find anything. So if you're Evander Kane and you're smart and you're gambling, you're not getting a bookie and saying, hi, it's Evander Kane, I'm going to gamble. You're using a third party. You're being sneaky about it. So if something does happen, you're not on the hook for it. So like, they're not going to find anything. He's probably got a buddy in Timbuktu. He says, hey, Gary, gamble on this game. Gary plays from China.
It's always Gary.
Yeah. That's how it's going to go. So he's probably got some, connection to, if he did do it. It's going to be hard to prove unless there's some receipt somewhere, some bank transaction that says, okay, you made this much from this casino. Where did it come from? We'll see if the NHL dug that deep, went into his finances, got, all his statements and stuff. I don't think they did. They just don't seem like the kind of organization that wants this kind of attention. Oh, the NHL has players gambling on their games. They don't want that bad press. So they probably just interviewed Evander. We believe you. Moving on. So I don't know. We'll see what comes from it. Hopefully they went a little bit further than what I said. The fact that there's those allegations, I want to be judged accordingly. I want to punch you in the face, Evander. I'm going to punch you in the face. All right. So let's talk about the division Evander's in. Let's go through a couple teams. I don't think we'll have enough time after my rant to go through all of the Pacific teams, unless you have something else to say, Tim.
Well, it's we don't always get to see you this worked up, and I like to see it, but I'm wondering if maybe kind of working yourself up into an appetite. Are you working up an appetite for yourself when you get this emotional?
Usually when my blood starts flowing, I need to get some food into me, but I don't have any food.
You didn't pack a lunch today to work?
Never. And it's Friday. I don't eat meat on Friday. What do I do?
I guess there's nothing you can do.
Ding dong, DoorDash. Let me know if you listeners are getting tired of our ads because I enjoy doing them. Go to DoorDash. You know what? I might do that actually right now for lunch. We'll go to DoorDash, even just a Subway. There's a Subway around the block. I eat Subway. Don't judge me. I go to my DoorDash app. I fire it up. I go Subway, beep, boop, boop, and I get myself a nice vegetarian sub, and away we go. And it'll be here in no time. It's very cheap, very convenient, and it's so easy. So go to DoorDash. Tell them we sent you. Our promo code still doesn't work. They hate us over at DoorDash, but we love them. So go to DoorDash, go to the website, go to the app, use them, write them an email if you want, be proactive, tell them we sent you, get yourself some food. So go to DoorDash.com. Most likely you're going to do it on your phone. Tim does it every day. You think Tim cooks for himself? Not a chance. He's DoorDashing it up. He's like their best customer. He's got premium platinum. You know how the American Express, they have the platinum card? Tim's got the platinum app on his phone because he uses it so much. So be like Tim.
Anyone who follows me on Instagram knows that's not true. I post pictures of my food all the time. I cook regularly.
Do, don't you?
DoorDash is for the weekends for me. But you can get it at 7 days a week.
Saturdays aren't for the boys. They're for DoorDash. So I don't know. Go to DoorDash, check it out. It's a good company, good food, makes it easy. Very, very simple to use. DoorDash.com or go right on the app and use DoorDash. All right. Now that we've got that out of the way, I want to talk about every division and see who's going to be the leaders, who's going to be the favorites. What can we expect now that we're back to normal? Now that COVID is gone, we don't have the Canadian division. We don't have the Honda division, the Scotiabank. We're back to Pacific, Central, Metropolitan, and Eastern. Like we're back to the normal divisions, and it's exciting. So I figured while I'm dumping on Evander Kane and the San Jose Sharks, not so much the Sharks, more Evander. He deserves it. He's a piece of garbage. Let's talk about the Pacific Division. And because of that rant on piece of garbage Evander Kane, we're only going to get through a couple teams because Evander Kane's a piece of garbage. So let's start, Tim. We'll go by alphabetical order. But how about that?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Why don't you kick us off with the Anaheim Ducks not the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, the Anaheim Ducks.
It
And
should be the Mighty Ducks.
What couldn't we expect out of the Ducks this year, Tim?
Well, not a whole lot of goals. They actually finished dead last in goals last year. And I would not have guessed that. I would have guessed Buffalo or Detroit maybe. But yeah, Anaheim was dead last in goals last year. But they have a bright future. I think they're probably a team that's still, I don't know, they could be up to 5 years away from being a playoff team. But their young core is among the best in the league with Zegras, Troy Terry, and Comtois. On the flip side of that, Ryan Getzlaf is back another year, which is a surprise. I think a lot of people thought that he would go move to a contender. I expect he'll get traded at the deadline, like a Jumbo Joe type situation. Patty Marleau, he's right up there with those guys in age now. He's getting up there, so I'm surprised that he's back. But again, I don't think he'll finish the season. I just don't think they're anywhere close to being a contender or even a playoff team. And they have these young guys, but I don't really see a direction forward. Like, do you see this team headed in a positive direction? It seems like they're kind of muddling a little bit.
No, they're not even muddling. They're a bad team. Like they're built terribly. The only thing they have going for them is John Gibson. He is by far the best player on this team. They have no forwards who are of note. They have no defensemen who I look at and go, oh, he's a good defenseman. They have a couple contracts. They don't have albatross contracts that are just like, whoa, that's a terrible contract. But they do have a couple bad contracts. They have like 13 million in cap space. So they do have some money if they wanted to make a run at a player. But why would you? They're not going to win anything. In this Pacific Division, they're the worst team in my opinion, even worse than the Seattle Kraken. Like, when it's all said and done, they're coming in last place. I don't know what other team you can look at and say they are worse than the Anaheim Mighty Ducks. San Jose still has some talent up front. They got Hurdle, they got Couture, they got all these younger guys. I'm blanking on a few right now, but Anaheim doesn't have anybody. They have absolutely nobody. And when your leading scorer last year gets 33 points, 33, like that's saying something. Connor McDavid got 100. You know what I mean? Like it's not a good sign. Like Maxime Kumquat got 33 points, and that's your leading scorer. So I just don't know where you're going to find the goals. Like you said, I don't know how you're going to keep the goals out of the net. If they don't have John Gibson, like they're even worse last year than they were. John Gibson willed them to a lot of wins. He played phenomenal last year. So I don't know. I think Getzlaf comes back because he's just being loyal. I don't know. I don't see him moving on. He's already won his Stanley Cup, so he's not really chasing. I'm sure he'd like to win another one, but you know, he's got a network in Anaheim. He's been there his whole life. He signed there. He got drafted there. He signed right away, and he played right out of junior. So that's his home. That's where he's probably going to settle down when he's done. This could be his last year. He's 36. And he's played there for over 16, 17 years. So I don't know. They got Henrique. They signed him to that terrible contract. They got Jakob Silverberg. They don't have any forwards who I look at and go, oh, like this, you know, maybe no. The Cam Fowler, he was good 4 years ago. Like Lindholm, they're very like Kevin Shattenkirk. You know what I mean? They don't have any guys that excite me. So if I'm them, I'm trading Gibson. I'm getting some value for him, and I'm moving on. But Gibson is signed for another like 6 years at 6.4. And does the team want to invest that much money in a John Gibson when goaltenders historically don't age very well? And John Gibson's 28. So I don't know. It's not looking too good for Anaheim. Where do you see them finishing? Scoring is going to be hard. Keeping the pucks out of the net is going to be hard. When I list their defensemen, like Lindholm, Fowler, the only really shut down defenseman they have, and he's not that, is Josh Manson, you know? So they don't have guys who can just lock in on a guy and just be like, oh, you're done. I'm going to take you out of the game, McDavid, because there's some guys in the Pacific Division who can fly. And I just don't see this team being able to keep up unless they have some young kids, like you mentioned, who are just raring to go and come out of nowhere. But I don't see the Terry and the Kumquats or the Zegras really doing that. And their power play was awful. Their PK was average. Like, I don't know. No. What? Any other comments on Anaheim, Tim?
A couple. So, I mean, you mentioned the scoring is going to be a problem. The power play was actually dead last as well. But going back to Gibson, I think they should trade him. 5 more years under contract at 6.25, like you said. He's 28 years old, but I think I'll disagree. The goalies don't age well. I thought we've seen the last few couple of years is like Khudobin. Look what he did. Carey Price, Marc-Andre Fleury, they're all like 35 plus. And John Gibson is still, if not top 5, certainly top 10 goalie in the league right now. And I think a lot of teams would pay like a pretty good haul. $6 million is a good contract for him. Like, he's very tradable, and I think they can get a lot of positive assets for him. Because like 5 more years, like you got him under a good contract for a good length, and it's super valuable. Why trade that? But they're not going to be a contender, let alone a playoff team, for probably the entire length of that contract. So I think trade him now and get something good for him.
I agree with you. I stand corrected. Goaltenders, this is a good argument, Tim. You win that one. Not very often it happens, but yes, he is a good goaltender, and he will be a good goaltender forever. So you've changed my mind. Does Anaheim finish dead last, Tim, in the Pacific Division? Where do they end up in this standings? What's going on with your mic?
Dead last. Yeah, it just came loose.
These mic stands. I had an issue last week with it. What's going on?
Right.
We get sold a lemon here?
I don't know.
Not ideal. All right, moving on. The Calgary Flames, Tim. Can you give us an insight of what happened with Calgary last year? What they have to do to change? Because we're talking about a team, contrasting them to Anaheim. Anaheim doesn't have anything going for it. They don't have any solid forwards. Their defense is just average at best. They have great goaltender. What is Calgary? Has some good, exciting young players. They have some decent guys on the back end. What does Calgary need to do to kind of forget about last season where they had such high expectations?
Well, they have a couple of kind of lingering things. Talk about the axe lingering over your head with Tkachuk and Gaudreau. Both are entering contract seasons. Tkachuk's going to be an RFA. Gaudreau will be a UFA. They've had rumors, speculation circulating these guys for the last year and a half, which is kind of surprising that these wouldn't both be like cornerstone franchise pieces that you latch onto forever. So it's strange that they get traded. I think Gaudreau is more likely than Tkachuk. He's been rumored and connected to Philly for quite some time now. But they also have 10 expiring contracts next summer. So this is all on. This is not counting prospects or minor leaguers or anything, just in their starting roster. So this is a team that could look a lot different at this point next year. One of the bigger questions they have is Giordano. Obviously, was taken. Their captain, their best defenseman. He was taken by the Seattle Kraken. How do they replace his defense and leadership? Like, they don't really have that guy on defense anymore. Like Noah Hannafin, he hasn't quite panned out like we thought he would when he came up with Carolina. Zadorov, big body, strong guy, good defenseman, but like, he's no Giordano, right? So I think that's a bigger question more than the offense, is this defense and how they're going to stop the other team from scoring.
Yeah, I think they have 6 guys who are 3-4 defensemen. They don't have the guy who's the one. So they just, well, it'll have to be leadership by a committee. They don't have the guy who's a Giordano or a Hedman or whoever it may be. But I don't mind their defense. I think they're serviceable. The Hannafin's good. Anderson's good. Christopher Tanev does his job. He doesn't try to reinvent the wheel. Zadorov could be really good. I like him. I played with him. I think he's got some talent. He just gets a little bit loose and he doesn't, stay focused as long as he should. I think if he really buckled down and really focused on his own end a little more, instead of always trying to do the big hit, always trying to jump up in the rush, he could be really, really, really effective defenseman. Eric Goodbranson always seems to be on a new team. Every time I see his name, I'm like, where is he now? Where in the world is Eric Goodbranson? So he's there. And Michael Stone and Juuso Välimäki, they're decent players. Stone will be the 7th guy. He'll be rotating in and out with injuries and bad play as it may, happens. But, it is what it is. They got a decent back end. Their goaltender is Markstrom. What happened to him? He had this unbelievable year in Vancouver. He goes to Calgary and he didn't really work out. Does he need to be good for this team to be good, or can he be average? Because they have good forwards. You mentioned everyone's on an expiring contract, but when you have a Monahan, a Backlund, a Gaudreau, a Tkachuk, they picked up Blake Coleman. They're a very Daryl Sutter type team. They want to play heavy. They want to play hard. They want to make it very difficult for the other team, and they have the team to do that. They get Brett Ritchie as well. They have some big forwards to make it hard. They obviously have Lucic, who's still somewhat effective. He's a big body. He can, throw him on the 4th line. He's good. What's the key to this team being good next year?
One thing, probably goaltending. I mean, Markstrom, when he's on, he's pretty elite. We saw that in Vancouver. And he wasn't terrible last year. 2.68 goals against, 904 save percentages. You want more from your number one guy, especially if you want to go on a playoff run. But I think getting more from him, and I think just not losing focus with these kind of distractions up front, these trade rumors, the speculation. I assume they'll try to lock up Matthew Tkachuk first and foremost, and try to get him under contract on a longer deal. I don't know. There's just not much on this team that really excites me, though. I don't really see. Are they a playoff team, do you think, in this division?
They'll be 4-5. So they'll be
Yeah.
battling until the end for that last playoff spot. I don't see them challenging for the top spot. I think that's going to be Edmonton. That's going to be Vancouver. And then they will be in the group of the teams kind of just trying to get that 3-4 spot. I think the bottom 5 teams are all pretty similar. When you look at the Flames, when you look at the Knights are number 1. What am I saying? But like the Sharks, the Seattle Kraken, those teams will be fighting for that last spot. So it'll be interesting to see how they pan out. If they start the season off kind of slow, if they can see where the road is headed, because they're not going to win the Stanley Cup, right? They're spending almost to the cap. They don't have much wiggle room. They still have to sign Tkachuk. Do they start unloading players? If you're the GM, if you're Brad Traveling, at what point do you say, you know what? I got to get rid of Johnny. I got to get rid of Johnny Gaudreau. I got to get rid of Luch. If I can, Sean Monahan, he's been here his whole career. He hasn't really done too much. When do you start selling? Get rid of Backlund and just reset. You don't have really anybody to build around. They don't have much young talent. Dylan Dubé is pretty good. At what point in the season do you say, okay, that's it, we're resetting? Do you try to fight for that 4th spot? What would you do if you're traveling?
It's hard to guess, but I just don't think this team is that close that I would need to wait that long. If we're sitting in the 7-8 spot, 10, 15, 20 games in, I'm starting to move some pieces around, or at least try to make like one big move to make a statement, send a message to the team. Whether that's Gaudreau again, like he's been linked to Philadelphia forever. He's from that area. He's best friends with Kevin Hayes. They've been trying to make that happen. Entering a contract season, I don't know that he's really looking at wanting to come back and re-sign. I don't think that he sees this team is that close to being a contender, and he probably wants to go somewhere else. To answer your question, I don't know. It's too soon to tell, but I don't think they have a very long leash, is my point. The one thing they do have going for them is that they don't really have any bad contracts. Like you mentioned, Lucic is 5.25 for 2 more years. He's probably their worst one, but that's not really that much money. And he can still contribute a little bit. Like they've done well managing the cap. They don't really have much cap space, but they don't have any, they're not relying on any one player. But on the flip side of that, they don't have any superstar players that are worth that kind of money anyway. So it's sort of a lose-lose there, I guess.
I still believe in Johnny Hockey. I still believe in him. He's a very, very good player. He's still relatively young. He's 28. I think you can get a good haul for him. I do think if it's not going their way, even if they are in the 4th playoff spot, you got to get something for these guys. You can't let Johnny Gaudreau walk without getting anything from him. That would be a travesty to Calgary fans. And I just feel bad for Calgary. They had, a window for this team to be really good, and it just didn't happen. And they mismanaged it somehow, but this window is closed unless they can somehow just reset and get some good players. I just don't know. I don't know. Calgary, they will not make the playoffs. I have them finishing 5th or 6th. That's my prediction with Calgary. So we've done 2 teams, 2 non-playoff teams. Do you want to do one more, or just call it quits and we'll pick it up next episode?
We can pick it up next week. There's a lot more to cover in this group.
Oh, there's so much more. We haven't even gotten to Edmonton. And I know we bag on Edmonton, but I have them competing for first place in the division. So when you got McDavid and Draisaitl, you're going to be competing for first place in any division. Those guys are so incredibly good. But we'll touch on that next week. Everybody go out, have yourself some fun. It might be the last nice weekend before fall hits. And then it's just like, it snows in Michigan, like late October. So who are we kidding? The time is approaching. So get out there, have some fun, go to our page and click us and 5-star us and make us happy. Go to DoorDash and everything's good. And then don't forget to sign up for Fantrax. I know I feel like I'm beating a dead horse. Fantasy season is upon us. Football just started. Hockey's starting now. Basketball's around the corner. It's a very exciting time to be a sports fan. And what better way to celebrate it than signing up for Fantrax? Be a part of the experience. Have some ownership on a player, on a team, whatever it may be. It makes the games more exciting. You can trash talk your friends. It's just a good way to enjoy the sport, to enjoy watching the games. I loved wiping the floor with Tim last year in our fantasy game. fantasy league. It was fantastic. The only thing that was missing was Fantrax. If it was on Fantrax, it would have been 10 times better. Now we have Fantrax. So check out my Twitter. Well, I'll throw something out there this week. Get on Fantrax/DTG. Trust me, it'll be fun. We'll have some good trash talk in the comment section. Always a good time. And yes, check us out next week. We appreciate the support, everybody. Have a good weekend. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Dropping the Gloves with John Scott, a member of the Nation Network of Podcasts. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from to never miss an episode. Delivered by DoorDash.